Hello everyone, I am Kavita Tyagi from Everest Yoga Institute, Ludhiana, Punjab, India. Today we are going to discuss about cervical spondylosis. It's a big problem nowadays. Now I think majority of people, whether you talk about teachers, you talk about corporate sectors, you talk about housewives, you talk about old age people, or in fact even if you talk about students, many of us are suffering from this major problem, cervical spondylosis. So today what are we going to discuss? We are going to discuss about what is cervical spondylosis, what are the causes of cervical spondylosis, what are the symptoms of cervical spondylosis, and of course we are going to discuss about the shape of our cervical area, which is very important for us to know, because if we understand the structure of our neck area, our cervical area, so it becomes easy for us to understand that how do we actually harm this area, the shape of this area. So first of all we are going to start with, let's start with symptoms, because sometimes we are confused that do we have this problem or we don't have this problem. Sometimes what happens, we do not have any symptom, but still the shape of our cervical area is affected. Secondly, if we have symptoms, what kind of symptoms do we have? We could have pain in the shoulders, we could have a stiff neck, we could have pain or numbness in hand, we could have numbness in fingers, we could have a pain in our wrist area. We could have problem in breathing, especially deep breathing. When we talk about, you breathe in deeply and raise your belly outward. If a person feels problem in doing so, that means a person could be suffering from cervical spondylosis. What other symptoms? If I talk about other symptoms could be severe headaches, especially at the back of the head. It could be sometimes in the forehead also, and sometimes we feel difficulty in movement. What type of movement? Sometimes turning head left side, sometimes turning head right side, sometimes turning head backward, sometimes forward bending. So if we are facing problem in these small movements, it could be due to cervical spondylosis. So these are the symptoms of cervical spondylosis. Now if we talk about the causes, so what are the causes? Because I feel it's very important for us to know the causes, because it might be that with medicines or with doing asanas and doing other physical postures, we can free ourselves from this problem, we can relieve ourselves from this problem. But the point is, if we do not understand the cause of this problem, it's difficult for us to cure it permanently. So it's very important for us to know the causes of this problem. Causes, now if we talk about the causes could be bad lifestyle, it could be holding your neck in a very uncomfortable position, and especially for longer duration. It could be holding your phone, like if you know about it, holding your phone, your head weight on your vertebra, on your first cervical vertebra is at 10 degree. So if you increase the bending by 5 degree, that means 15 degree. So you double the weight of your head on your cervical area, on your first vertebra especially. Now again, if you bend your head by 30 degree, if you go by 30 degree, again you increase the weight of the head on your first vertebra, that is X. So this could be one reason, holding your neck in a very uncomfortable position, especially for a longer duration. Now who does this? Sometimes teachers, sometimes corporate sectors, sometimes students. A lot of time, they are into forward bending, so they create this problem in their neck area. And if I talk about other reasons could be watching TV, again, bad lifestyle, uh, not waking up early, not sleeping on time, eating habits. These could be, further reasons. Sometimes injury could be. One of the reason, but injury will harm you if this area is stiff. If this area is flexible enough, so you might not get affected by the injury also. So these are the causes. So now we understood the symptoms of cervical spondylosis and we understood the causes of cervical spondylosis. Now we are going to discuss about the shape of our cervical area. So that if we understand the shape, if we understand what actually happens wrong with this area, it will become easy for us to identify our problem and it will become easy for us to cure our problem. Okay, so now we have discussed about the symptoms of cervical spondylosis and we have also discussed about the causes of this problem. Now I think the most important part is to understand the structure of our cervical area, this part specifically, so that we understand why this problem creates, what actually happens with this problem. So let's discuss, first of all, let's discuss about the shape of the spine. Our spine is naturally S shape. Our spine is S shape, natural S shape, not exactly S shape, but little bit, somewhat similar to S shape. And if we talk about our cervical area, which is this area, if we talk about our cervical area, which is this part, this neck region, if we see this, we have 7 vertebrae, 7 small bones in this area. So if we see this area, we have 7 bones. 7 are there, and they are named as C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6 and C7. And this C1 is attached to this C2 through, there is a disc in between them. Of course there are ligaments, of course there are tendons, there are muscles, but we are not discussing much about those structures. We are mainly focusing on the vertebrae and the disc. Now this disc is present between each vertebra. The function of this disc is, it works as a shock absorber. It provides cushioning to our neck area. Now if you talk about C1 and C2, the first 2 vertebrae, they are named as atlas and axis. Now what is their function, the first 2? Their function is to provide different movements to the head area. Like it could be rotation, it could be yes movement, it could be no movement, it could be turn, it could be sideways bending, it could be all the movements of head are related to these 2 vertebrae. So if you are facing problem in any of the movement, you feel some pain, you feel any stiffness in performing those movements, it could be due to the misalignment on these areas. Now if you talk about C3 area, C3 and C4, they basically stimulate the, now how do we stimulate these areas? The nerves, different nerves arises from this area. We call them spinal nerves. So these nerves like C3 and C4 nerves, when it arises from here, it stimulates our diaphragm muscle. Now diaphragm muscle is located somewhere between our abdominal area and our thoracic area. And this diaphragm muscle is mainly responsible for deep breathing. For breathing deeply, when you inhale and you raise your belly out, and when you exhale, you squeeze your belly in. So this inhalation, this raising your belly out, is due to these muscles, this diaphragm. It's a very, very important muscle, and it is stimulated by the C3 and C4 vertebrae. So let's talk about the other vertebrae here, like C5, C6, C7, different vertebrae. Now if I talk about C5 vertebra, so C5 vertebra is for the stimulation of your
deltoid muscle. And your C6 is for wrist muscles, and your C7 is for tricep. Your C5 is also responsible for bicep muscle stimulation. So if you see, deltoids is for what? Deltoid is for your, sideways, raising your head. Your bicep is for flexion. Your tricep is for extension. Your wrist is for, the muscles stimulated by this C6 nerve is for the wrist extension. So if you are facing problem, in doing this way, or doing this way, or doing this way, or this wrist backward movement, that means it could be, the nerves arising from your C5, C6, C7 vertebrae are affected. There's one more spinal nerve. Though we have only 7 vertebrae, but we have 8 pair of spinal nerves from our cervical area. So the C8, now these are nerves. The C8, we won't draw this here. The C8 nerve also arises from somewhere here, and it stimulates the muscles of your hands and fingers. Now what happened? Why? Due to the misalignment of this area, these areas get affected because the nerve arising from here, different nerves arises from here. So what happens? These nerves get a compression due to the misalignment of spinal area. This disc, sometimes it comes out. We call it a bulging disc. We call it a herniated disc also. So this disc, when it comes out, it puts a pressure on the base of the nerve, which causes nerve root pain. So these problem causes further problems. You have a problem over here. You are working on this area. Of course, you should work on this area, but you should never forget the root cause could be somewhere here, and we ignore this. You have a problem in your tingling, numbness in your hand. You are doing so many things for your hand, but that's okay, that's fine. You should do it. That could really, that's going to help you. But then we should never forget about the root cause. The root cause could be somewhere here. So if we work on this area, specifically on this area, we can get, relief. Like suppose you have headache. So what do? We put pressure here. Okay, somebody could compress this area, and we feel good also. That's not a problem. We should feel good, but the point is how to remove it permanently. So why I'm talking about this? Because sometimes we neglect this part. We focus on other areas, but we neglect this part. But this is the most important part of our body. So I think it's very much clear. And before we proceed for the asanas, different asanas to cure this cervical spondylosis, I would like to tell you one most important thing is that we should work on the different methods to remove these pains, but we should never forget that what causes that pain. You should never forget. So you need to check out your routine. You need to check a little bit on your past to see that what actually caused this problem. Was it a usage of phone for a longer time? Was it watching television for a longer time, and especially in a very uncomfortable manner? And was it? So we need to find out the reason and start working side by side on the reason plus on the problem. So now we are going to perform some asanas, a very good sequence which will help you in removing this problem.